trade. Right, let's get back to football, shall we? If you play football professionally, and I mentioned this before, the cliche is at the end of your playing career, either you'd be a coach or a pundit, or maybe do a mixture of them both, and that's absolutely fine, and a lot of players still do that. But you'd be foolish to think that it's your only option. These days, in the modern world in which we live, oh my goodness, a whole plethora of options. Entrepreneurship is an increasingly popular career path for footballers to take after they retire. In fact, even before they retire, many of them have side hustle upon side hustle upon side hustle, and actually the guys we're about to bring on stage are very much, with that in mind, always switched on, always thinking about the next thing. We saw him before, but we thought we'll give you another bite of Louis Saha, and we'll also discuss if footballers make better entrepreneurs alongside Louis with Gaizka Mendieta, and we'll ask out how they've leveraged their status as footballers to enhance their business endeavors. Please welcome them to the stage in conversation with AxisStars co-founder Kate Hamer.
Hi everyone. I have to recommend speaking at Web Summit. It's a brilliant opportunity to take your mask off. So I'm going to enjoy 20 minutes mask free. So welcome guys. We're going to talk today about athletes turning entrepreneurs. So we'll start with you guys. What are your business interests post-playing career?
Well, luckily, different ones. I think also, fortunately for a lot of players, there's a lot of opportunities now outside in the business world. I started with the easiest one, which I think most football players start with, which is property, residential, commercial. And then as I move around also my career, and I started, especially in the UK, realizing and missing Spanish food, started with Spanish restaurants in order to not only to provide for myself, but also to provide for a city like London, and to bring the genuine Spanish food. And then as a great city that London is, and the opportunities arise in a lot of meetings and people that I've met that I know, start to come in different other ones, like, I don't know, from many kinds of startups, from different currencies, crypto, NFTs, all these things that nowadays are so on the market. So you start to explore it, but not just myself, as I have a team around me that helps me to make those decisions, but kind of diversify in different markets.
And how are you juggling all of that? How have you picked the right sort of people to work with?
Well, it's not easy, I must admit. It's difficult, and sometimes when you get everything line up, it can be quite intense. But again, luckily, thanks to the team that I have, the 4 people that help me in different aspects, makes it easier for me when it comes to make decisions, or to share how to make those decisions and where to invest or where not, or where to head in terms of the market we are trying to want to explore.
Okay. So Louis, on to your business interests. That segues quite nicely in terms of finding the right people to work with. Tell us about AxisStars.
So yes, it's a collection of all, let's say, the experiences that I had and the experiences of other players, other athletes, so different sports, and find out that at some point even entertainers had similar problems to pick the right people around them. So it was for me obvious that creating a digital platform, so an app, as I would call it, is where you can have a bit more control about what can be accessible quickly. So in terms of bringing service providers, companies that has been vetted. It could be agent, but it could be as well experts on different fields like car suppliers, like real estate, investment opportunities, education. All those things was very important for me at the time, where I felt like it was really very hard to access the information, which is what is right for you or what is wrong. So many people with bad intention, let's say, that see us athletes a bit fragile, because you have to be very, very focused on your job, which is getting the best performances week in, week out. So all that was important to build something concrete, simple access, very simple to use, having a sense of community. So I was really passionate about building that with like the expenses of like many other players.
So it seems that there's an increasing number of athletes that are starting businesses now. When do you think, if you're playing sport at an elite level, when is the right time to start thinking about businesses and transition from sport?
I think, and for myself, it's dependent of like who you are as a person. So sometimes it's not about like getting into a process that doesn't fit you. You know, you have to feel comfortable. You have to be authentic, not pretending. If you don't like some kind of topics, you know, now it's like NFTs all around, or crypto, and you're gonna say, oh yeah, I'm gonna jump on that. You know, I'm 20 years old. No, it's you have to be like very focused, and some even very experienced people don't know what is crypto, what they don't really understand. So you can't like just push people into roads that doesn't fit them. So it's more about like knowing yourself. This is a development. Personal development is very important. That's about business as well. You know, if you want to be an entrepreneur, it depends about your ideas, about who you are, what is very important for you as a human. And like this, whenever the business, as Gaizka just like went into the food industry in some way, he recognized there is a need or a gap, he can assess. So you need to know who you are first. That's the process. The first step is to know if you're ready, if you want it, and from that you can answer. So me was when I may started to have like injuries, understand that I not as like endurance player as him. So I needed to really think about what's next. This question is very important, but I would advise anyone to consider that as quick as possible early on during the career. But I would say that whenever like you feel you have free time and you think about your children, about the security that you need for them, you have to think about it very strongly.
And Gaizka, did you start in property while you were still playing? Was that where you sort of learned your trade that way, or?
I did. Actually, it was my first flat, my first investment. So in the way I bought it was, okay, it was my first professional contract. So thanks to my mom, which was a businesswoman, so make sure that whatever happened to me, that flat would be my first asset, my first property. And if the worst comes to the worst, and in those 5-year contract that I had, anything happened to me, we have that as a security. And then from there, of course, luckily more contracts came on and started to explore different other opportunities within always the real estate.
Okay. And do you think, in terms of the sort of discipline and skills that you have to have as an elite athlete, do they stand you in good stead to then become an entrepreneur and go into business? Either of you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you're playing, you probably don't think about them. Don't think about all the things you're learning every day, like leadership, like adaptability or flexibility, being able to be or play the role that you demand to play, to deal under circumstances with a lot of pressure, to come back from failure, how you come back from when you have a bad game or you've been injured, how you rebuild yourself into that. So I think being a professional, not only football player but an athlete, teaches you a lot of things that you could also apply when you come to be an entrepreneur or to start a business in the business world.
Louis, what's the biggest sort of surprise or shock that you've had going into business, sort of versus what you expected it would be like?
I think the first surprise is that you have to again recognize that you become a kind of like a master of what you've been doing, and where you become very fragile is because you're gonna be a rookie. Whatever like people will perceive you as a rookie, as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, whatever, that you have a great idea, people may think that is he able to actually go all the way, have the dedication, you know, the actual, like, let's say, to be honest, as a black man, some people have like perception, you know, they have cliche. So it is hard and surprising that people assume that basically that's not your idea. That's not possible that you actually think about those or think about like consistent, like working hard. So all those things was surprising in some way because I experienced it. It was my first time. And on the same time, it was really a motivator. So basically, I was surprised then that I have that kind of passion. I had that drive that helped me to be here again and fight for my ideas and my vision. So it's very important as an athlete to recognize your quality, and one of those quality for sure is perseverance. As like Gaizka just mentioned, you have to come back. Whatever like people say, oh no, you're not great or not, you have to say, okay, yeah, as Fan was doing sometimes, you say, okay, fair point, okay, but next day I'm back in training. I'm able to actually sort it out. So that's the surprise, but I managed to use it as a motivator.
Gaizka, have you had any surprises or?
No, I think similar like Louis, like you realize, because I think for us it comes natural to go every day training. So whatever is happening in the game, in a training session, next day you are there ready for whatever comes. And you're ready, even unconsciously, to fight against it. Now when you are in a business world, which you kind of knew, like you continue learning, you continue, so you need a lot of the passion that we're mentioning. You need that drive to want to succeed and to make things happen in whatever is your project or your new venture, because it's very demanding in that sense. Like it's not natural. You have to put yourself there, to wanting to learn, to wanting to improve, to wanting to, see what everyone else in that industry is doing, and how to, in order to get you better. So in that sense, is something that I didn't have a clear idea about it, and that is intense. But it's one of those that it could be look like a climbing a mountain, but it's a challenge. As sport people, we love challenges. So it's overcoming those challenges that it makes it exciting.
Yeah, good people to have in teams, for sure. So have you done any formal training in terms of business studies or anything since you've retired? Or?
I did the UEFA MIP as the master, and then it's been more self-taught myself whenever I've started any business, or whenever I've been with people helping me with the business, trying to learn about that kind of particular investment that I was doing, it be more myself. And in terms of academy, the MIP. That's why I would advise the same. The sooner you start educating yourself, the sooner you start wanting to invest and learn about investment or business or something that excites you and you go passionate about, the sooner the better.
And do you think, Louis, there's enough support at clubs and things to help players prepare for the future?
There is some structure, but it's inadequate in a way that they don't centralize everything in one place. So basically, there is too many opportunity to be distracted. So basically, you go home, you have a lot of friends, an agent or whatever, like people gonna actually say left, right, center. So it's really hard to see the structure be, like solid enough in so many ways. So having some information in a website doesn't mean that you're gonna actually have the players to look at what you're providing to them. So basically, how the communication is done is very important. Nowadays, the actual apps and having video content is really powerful, and you need to actually address that. So I think most of the club have a duty to do that, but they always have their own perception and vision. It's about to protect their own, let's say, targets. Their target is to win games, maybe bring a few players in the academy to be, that's business. So, but that's it, and yes, it's not enough to say, oh yes, we've done this, we've done the academy, we have a school there, and we have teachers. No, those guys are still not educated or not confident to actually be entrepreneur, or not aware that maybe has, like Gaizka went to the road of the MIP, that is not that complicated. You have the quality as a businessman maybe to actually pursue those courses, and it's not really done in that sense at the moment. So a lot of, like, let's say the people with, I would say 90% will think, okay, my only road is to give all my control to my agent or to the people who are experts. I don't think that's right. Education is about, like, taking care about yourself and making sure that you speak to people. And this is another educational program in my sense. And I think this is what club need to really push the players to do.
I suppose as well, sort of taking responsibility for their own time. I think there's a bit of a myth that athletes are super busy when actually they probably could carve out some time. What's an average day for you now compared to what an average day was like when you were training?
I mean, like, that's proper work now. I can work 20 hours a day. It's like, I'm very passionate, and I think even when I'm sleeping, I'm thinking about my business. So I always have ideas, and I want to meet people. That's why I'm here. I'm meeting a lot of people with ideas and challenge me. So I would say that I don't count hours. I don't have weekends. I don't think this way. You know, it's like as a footballer, you train 2, 3, 4 hours because I was doing my extra gym. But basically, it's that easy. You know exactly what to do. It's not like a racetrack where you have like 100 meters to run. But still, I think you have a target and it's easy. This one is a bit more complicated, I would think.
And would you say that's the same for you, Gaizka?
Certainly, as long as you want to. It's, sometimes there's not enough hours. You start with whatever business you're involved, like could be for the restaurants, could be for any punditry with TV, following whatever league teams. Also with Player for Player, another company that we set up. Whatever is required, any player needs some advice or needs some consulting and whenever he wants to from the company. So you could take it as long as he wants. And I think the sign, of course, you like it. You don't feel sometimes like that's what you're doing. But like Louis said, sometimes you find watching a football game or something and your brain is doing it itself, which I think is good. It means you're always active in searching for new opportunities or how to improve whatever is already in place.
Okay, so we'll just end with a piece of advice from both of you that you'd give to anybody looking to sort of follow in your footsteps and move into business. What would you tell them?
Well, for me, I think it's education is first. Educate yourself as much as you can, you possibly can, and then surround yourself by people you trust and in professionals. So both would be ideal. So people you really trust and that are really professionals on the theme, on the aspect that you want to invest.
Okay, Louis?
Sure. I tend to say that maybe you have to recognize that any evolution, any improvement is painful. You know, like going into an education process is painful, is long, all those things. So you have to recognize that your road will be hard, and you have to actually acknowledge that as something like as an opportunity to be better. So I always think that as an entrepreneur, you will have those process of education, those process of being challenged, the critics of feedback. So you have to understand that like this, everything coming your way, it's easier, because what is like really hard is the surprise and realizing that is happening, that you are maybe not confident, not ready, not good enough, and all those questions are really bad. I think when you know the process that is going to be hard, that you will be calmer. And I think I'm calmer now than I was 6 years ago. Yeah.
Great, well thank you both very much. We'll end the session there. Thanks everyone.